What was ruined by rich people? Concerts. You can't even buy a beer at one for what a general admission ticket used to cost, and people still pay for it. I stopped drinking at shows because of it. I have a couple beers in the parking lot, sip on a bottle of water in the show, and not go stand in the bathroom line every 45 minutes saves me a ton of money too. Every single piece of water with accessible waterfronts. Edit. Wow, lots of upvotes. Going forward, upvotes will be $8. Hawaii Constitution makes any place with sand touching the ocean to be publicly accessible. Definitely appreciate them for that one. Similar here in Oregon, all beaches are publicly accessible. When I was young, my mother was very poor, but she carefully saved up enough to take me to Oregon so I could see the ocean. Not exactly an exciting trip for a kid, but it did form a core memory and I'm thankful for it. We stood on the beach and looked out at the ocean, with those big rocks jutting up out of it. Cold and overcast, water stretching out to the horizon. It was beautiful and sad and vast. I lived in Oregon for a very long time, so my wife and I brought our 5-year-old daughter to the Oregon coast for vacation last year from where we live on the East Coast. She was blown away by the mist, rocks, pine trees, general vibe. She also loved chasing crabs and seagulls. Seeing it through her eyes gave me a greater appreciation for something I took for granted. Housing. Used to be the only people buying houses were those that were intending to live in them. Now you have rich people looking into investing in real estate, and guess what? Rich houses are poor investments. So rich people are buying up all the affordable housing, driving up the price and creating scarcity. I cry every time I look at Zillow. So many things, but I'll say trucks. Once upon a time, a humble working class vehicle for people who need to be able to do things themselves. Now they're all luxury vehicles with massive margins, unaffordable to anyone who needs them to do real work. And they're all fucking humongous now. I was so excited that Ford was bringing back the Ranger until I found out it's as big as the F-150 was a decade ago. Give me a compact pickup that isn't 20 years old and rusted to shit. My understanding is that, in America, large vehicles getting larger is, at least in part, a consequence of a particular aspect of the EPA emissions regulation, that larger vehicles can have a worse emissions rating, so they make trucks bigger so the bar is lower. This is why the Chrysler PT Cruiser is a hatchback, but if you look it up it's classified as a light truck. Also why, if you've ever driven one, they drive like shit and have the worst turning radius of any car I've ever personally driven. Lol. Everest. Hey man, our gods live up there and Sagarmatha is a holy site of pilgrimage for Buddhists. I'm a climb it and die. Don't forget all the shits they took on it before dying. Beyond anything, it's just respect. Nobody respects each other for their differences like they ought to. Just like if you visit the Vatican, you wouldn't wear assless chaps and a banana hammock. Sure, you can do whatever you'd like. But that doesn't mean everyone has to like you and what you do. It seems like such a basic concept to me, that it's hard to fathom why many people seem to not grasp it. Reminds me of the first Avatar, something like if I throw a stick in the air around here, it will land on some sacred fern. I imagine a lot of mountaineers are thinking similar things about these peaks, unable to see anything past the physical object in front of them or care about how others view it. Old school ski mountains with family vibes and stoner lifties rocking to music. We always watched those silly ski patrol movies about the big corporations coming in and making them Yuppieville, and then it happened. New people bought the local mountain and they were desperately trying to find guys to work there. Lots of people were interested until they found out there was a mandatory drug test. Imagine drug testing your ski bums in a legal state. Something tells me that policy is gone next year. I work at a local hill that was bought by a large corporation a little over a year ago. At their introductory meeting for all employees, they said while there is a drug test, marijuana is not a disqualifier. Sounds like a lesson they learned the hard way. Do Americans really drug test for random jobs? Here in Australia it's only truck drivers and shit like that. The middle class. They absolutely bodied the middle class. I wonder if I'll ever get to live the 20s that people always recommend, where you get to travel and do the shit you want to do. Lamau, I wonder if I'll ever own my own place or if I'll be stuck at home for most of my life. Colorado. Why is everyone saying Colorado? Can someone explain this for the international crowd? Colorado, born and raised here. Forever priced out of my hometown. Me and all my friends have moved, just can't afford to live there anymore. Mostly expensive due to housing. Also, skiing used to be affordable, now it's not. Beaches and overdevelopment, they fuck it up every damn time. Rich people have ruined a lot of things in California, but one thing I love about the state is that you cannot own the beaches. Every beach is public access. No trashy fences blocking off sections of private beach access like in Florida. I have learned a few things after positing my comment. First, Florida has a similar law to California, but some resort owners abuse a loophole where they put up fences in private property and force people to pay if they want to pass through. Is this legal under Florida law? I don't know, I'm not an expert. From what Floridians are saying, this is a fairly uncommon practice. Thank you to all who replied. I learned a decent amount about beach access laws and loopholes. Ultimately, I hope wherever you live, you can fight against legislation seeking to block public access to your beaches. Everyone should have the right to enjoy the coasts along this beautiful country. Thrifting. Thrifting is cool when it's rich people donating and poor people buying. For sure. Garage sales in rich neighborhoods are something else. Concerts. And sporting events. Even NASCAR tickets are expensive, now. My God, I swear basketball tickets are thrice as expensive as they were pre-pandemic. Why is pork shoulder and oxtail so expensive? It literally used to be the parts nobody wanted. You can thank the Food Network and Food Documentarian for that. Once people started learning how to cook them, they went nuts. Cries and chicken wings. I stopped going to professional sports because I can only afford shitty seats. Not worth the effort anymore. For a fun day out with you and a friend at an NFL game will run you around $500. Or you could watch it on your big screen TV at home, which has better play-by-play and angles than being at the game where you end up watching half of it on a monitor anyway. Unless I get tickets for free, I don't even bother going to sporting events anymore. Cheap and simple dishes. Ramen, tacos, sushi. Now everything's gotta be labeled premium only to taste the exact same, if not, worse. I love that taco trucks charge somewhere between $1 and $20 for tacos. Burning Man was the first thing I thought of. When Mark Zuckerberg is helicoptering in to stay in a billionaire camp with air-conditioned mobile homes, Burning Man has lost whatever counterculture standing it had. Any hobby where there's potential profit. Now you've got dickheads like the Logan Paul ruining Pokemon cards. Not because they're into them because they like Pokemon, but because they read the stories about the rare cards and just hammer their endless piles of cash into getting everything. Same with those asshole sheiks with massive comic book collections. They don't give a fuck about comics. They just collect popular valuable stuff. Housing flipping for sure, looking to potentially buy at the moment, and everything has been fitted with new gray kitchens and modern lighting etc., which isn't my style. I may be in the minority here, but means paying way more for a house and then having the job of ripping everything out. I hate when houses have that soulless hotel look. 80s and 90s cars. The market is super hot right now and all the rich guys are buying them up. Sort of like the 50s and 60s cars in the 90s. This seems to be the norm once cars reach around 25 to 30 years old. People that grew up with these cars are now in their 40s and can afford to pay for them. Earth. It's hard to feel good about not using plastic straws when Elon creates more carbon emissions in one day to go see the World Cup than I create in 1 year. The standard of living for everyone else. Montessori schools. The method was created to be able to teach poor orphans well, despite little funding. Now it's some sort of elite schooling for $20K plus a year. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for daily uploads. After you've done that, check out one of our other videos.